How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Athletes Hub podcast. Back again after a busy week of football. There is more football this week, but we've got to get a head start, as always, and discuss the latest ongoing news in football and across the globe. And joining me to discuss that, as always, is Mr. Flexx.
Yes. How we doing?
How you doing, Flexx?
Mate, how would you say?
Do you know what? I think we'll tuck into all that stuff as always. But I think, I wanted to start off actually quickly and just get your thoughts, because I think a lot of us are aware of what's going on in the world right now, particularly in the Middle East. And, there's a lot of conflict, as a lot of people know. And I think that's caused a lot of worry and fear and uncertainty around, just our daily lives and how that's going to affect all of us. But we've also got to remember as well that there is a World Cup in America in June, and it's one of the locations that the World Cup will be taking part in. And the US is again directly involved in this conflict. And there's been a bit of concern as to whether the World Cup should take place, the safety concerns around it. I think FIFA are having a discussion at the moment about precautions and as to whether it should take place or not. So I just wanted to kind of get you. Again, we're not here to talk about like who's right, who's wrong. It's just a case of how will this affect the football calendar, because again, the World Cup is a massive spectacle. It's going to generate a lot of visitors that go to the US, Mexico, and Canada. And again, that's a big worry for people who are going to go and watch the World Cup. So what's your thoughts on how this potentially could affect this summer?
Yeah, no, it's got to be massive, of course, because of, as you know, the World Cup is hosted across the Americas, right? And, security is going to be something that's going to be heightened. I've heard that the Iranians are saying that they're looking to pull out, which will then also cause issues, for the group stages and things like that. So it's a shame what's going on in the world at this time. And all we can wish is for a peaceful resolve across the board, and that everyone can just live, love in unity.
That's it. That's the message right there, really. And we hope, again, as football fans, we hope that the World Cup can take place. But as always, people's safety and well-being, that's the main concern, isn't it? And of course, all these nations coming together, 40 countries coming together, for the summer. I think we want to make sure that it's going to be a safe environment for everyone who's going to be just players, staff, fans, everybody. So, as you said, let's just hope that this can be resolved and then see where it goes. But let's get on to the weekend. And I think you've been called out by a few people who want to get your reaction to Chelsea's loss. Listen, Arsenal won again. They beat Chelsea 2-1 victory, 2 set pieces, 5 points clear again ahead of Man City. Chelsea, I mean, I watched the game and I was thinking, Chelsea actually, which will come on to the 11 men and the sending off. But I felt with 11 men, Chelsea, particularly in the second half, looked quite comfortable and could have created a few more chances. And it's just a shame how it ended up for Chelsea. But yeah, what's your reaction to the loss?
Look, I was expecting for us to lose the game anyway. So for me, a self-fulfilling prophecy there. Arsenal have been really good against Chelsea at home over the last 5 to 6 years or so. So I wasn't expecting that to change, especially now that they're on a title challenge. So Could the game have been better? Absolutely. Could we have scored a couple more goals? Absolutely. Should we have had a penalty? Absolutely. All of these things are true. I think the refereeing in the game was quite poor. The standard wasn't where it was for both sides, to be fair. I think there was a moment where Timber could have been put through on goal and would have scored, and the referee blows. And it's like, hold on a second. Then there was time Martinelli for the red card. He's gone. He's gone. Let it play out. And then send the man off. So it's just poor refereeing.
There's a situation in the first half with Declan Rice in it where there's a corner kick. I think before he scored the equaliser, where he kind of raised his elbow, right? And that could have easily been reviewed by VAR. Well, but that was checked. He was actually holding. He was holding. Was it Sarr? He was holding.
No, it was. I think it was Hato.
Hato, right? Yeah, but he had both hands on him, and that wasn't even reviewed on VAR.
But that's how that goes. So I'm not here to complain or anything about it. I expected Arsenal to win, and that's what happened. And they march on. I feel like, for me, Arsenal's problems are never against the big sides. It will be against the likes of Brighton and these other type of teams, as I mentioned in the last discussion we had on the last pod. But in regards to red cards and things like that on our side, that was the 9th one in one season. which is crazy. And this guy, he's not even a good player anyway. Like, so to be getting red cards unnecessarily, I don't know.
But that red card, like Flex, I was thinking that Chelsea, I don't see. I mean, we spoke about this when Maresca was there months ago, right? And there's this big discipline problem in the team. And I'm looking at certain instances, right? And you could probably say that maybe João Pedro who got sent off last week against Burnley? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could say some instances can be unlucky, right? But I'm thinking, well, you're on a yellow card, you picked up for dissent, and in that situation with Martinelli, if you're on a yellow card, you can't make that challenge. You can't make a challenge like that. So this thing where Chelsea have got a young squad, but I'm thinking you've got to have some sort of in-game maturity to realize you're on a yellow card. This guy's taking him out. I mean, listen, you're almost on double digits for red cards this season. We're in March.
Look, we can't even say, like, this guy's 25 years old. He's not young. He's 25 years old. You know what it means to be on a yellow card and how cautious you have to be. And then you go and literally try and take a man out and you don't even successfully do it. At least if you successfully took him out and then got a yellow card or whatever, and then fair enough. But you totally missed him. He beat you and then you get sent off. I wonder if he has a holiday planned and he just needed a red card to, like, so he can go on holiday or something.
I think if you get 2 yellows, that's a 1-game suspension, isn't it? As opposed to red, which is 3 games.
Well, so maybe it's a light Cornwall trip or something like that. I don't know. But he hasn't been playing well enough to be behaving like that on the pitch, if you ask me. So for me, like, I think a few players have not been performing. Garnacho, one of them, who I didn't even want at the club anyway. And then for him, not even close second. Then you've got Liam Delap, who has just been, he's been dilapidated ever since being at the club. Like, absolutely shocking. And then you've got the goal. Sanchez is terrible, bro.
Yeah, I was watching this. I was thinking, they keep playing the ball back to Sanchez. I'm thinking he's taking an age to get rid of it as well. So it's like you keep doing this. At some point, Arsenal are going to, and it almost happened where Eze had a chance where he tried to score from the halfway line, and then I think Gyökeres intercepted it and it almost went badly there as well. So it's like Sanchez. I don't know.
He is shocking. Like, I can't actually genuinely believe how he is a Premier League goalkeeper. If he's a Premier League goalkeeper, then what am I? Let's be honest.
But you know what? Like, Sanchez at Brighton was actually a good shot stopper. I'll say in some instances he's a good shot stopper. But when it comes to maybe little decision makers, when we go back to the game at Old Trafford where he got sent off, coming out maybe when he shouldn't come out, or perhaps when the ball's at his feet.
When he has to use his brain, that's the problem. See, shot stopping doesn't require your brain cells, because the ball's coming at you and you're just there, you react. It doesn't require brain cells. But when you have to position yourself, anticipate the game, all of these factors, which a goalkeeper, by the way, should have, he just doesn't have it. He just doesn't. And I don't know how they go and sign in every other position, but can't find the need to sign a goalkeeper. Like, we should have signed the French number 1, Mignolet, and I think they wanted 25 million or something like that for him. Right now, it's costing you that same amount in points dropped because of this goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I
mean, I agree. I think the situation where, do you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Aurelio Gomez, who's at Tottenham. Erratic, but a great shot stopper. Like, he can react, but they couldn't do the basic things correctly. But Sanchez has been at fault for costing Chelsea goals this season, and just his decision making has not been great. But I think there's a collective issue with the players where they just can't seem to keep their discipline, or there's spells in games where they just lose their heads, and that's costing Chelsea a lot of points. So, I mean, your team needs to get it together, man. You're 6th in the table right now as well.
And I don't expect it to get any better, to be totally honest. I really don't.
Do you think you're getting Champions League spots, or?
I don't know. Do we even deserve it? Like, if we just look at the run of form, do we even deserve it if we qualified? And I know football's not about what you deserve, right? If we somehow scam our way into the Champions League, I'll take it. But right now, I don't know, man. I think we're relying on the likes of Aston Villa to just continue falling off, and then by some miracle we pick up points along the way, But it's a tough one. It's a tough one to call. And then we've got PSG, in the Champions League. I don't see our way through that. Like, I think we're just going to get absolutely chinned in that game, and and we just mosey on. Look, none of this is Rafinha's fault. I like to add, none of this is his fault. This is what he's inherited. This is what it always has been. It's the policy at the club which is at fault. We need mature players in key positions. That's what we need. We need mature players in key positions. And then we will see a sharp uptake in points gained, because we are not throwing away points to the likes of Burnley for no flipping reason. Like, this just, like, how can you drop all of those points at home? It makes no sense. It really doesn't, but it is what it is, my guy.
Yes, it's looking tricky. I mean, listen, it's great for United at the moment, isn't it? Which we'll get on too soon. But yeah, for you guys, it's looking a bit of a downward slope at the moment there. But you mentioned Villa crumbling there. Do you think there's a case they're crumbling because they lost to Wolverhampton Wanderers on Friday, 2-0 loss? And as much as Wolves have been obviously the worst team in the league this season, I think one thing I'll say or give credit to Rob Edwards is that he's made that team very competitive. Like, they're not as bad as they were under Vitor Pereira. You know, this team has got a bit of fight. They can actually play as well. If you watch Wolves play, they've got decent players in that team.
Yeah,
but just they couldn't, they couldn't just stop conceding goals, and that's obviously led them to where they are now in the table. But if you look at Villa, it seems as if you look at Unai Emery's reactions on the touchline, it seems like they're going through a bit of a wobble at the moment. And a team who actually kind of were talking about to be potentially in a title race are not even guaranteed to get top 4 now. And the manager has been quite vocal about his frustration regarding where they are at the football club right now. What do you make of Villa? Because, again, they've got a great manager, they've got a good team. But when it comes to games that you're expecting Villa to win, I remember them playing at home against, couldn't beat Brentford at home, lost to Wolves away. There's games that you're expecting them to win and not quite winning for some reason.
Yeah, it's a challenge one, because their squad, let's just be honest, their squad is not the best squad. If you just go in name pound for pound, name by name, it really isn't that. And they have the issue with financial fair play, these things. So it's been hard for them to be able to recruit. They've had to let go of certain players that they probably wouldn't have wanted to let go. So Unai Emery is doing the best of what he has, genuinely. And it's just catching up with him. You know, he's a few injuries away, and he's had some injuries with McGinn, Amadou Onana, these kind of players in key positions where, ideally, you could do without those type of problems. And it's just a matter of timing. So we'll see how it goes, and over the next last part of the season, see if they can string together once those boys are back to full fitness. But otherwise, to be fair, I would say they're probably even slightly overachieving in the position they're in anyway. So I feel like
I agree. I think Unai's done a great job at the football club. And again, we're talking about a team that was considered to be part of the title race earlier in the season. I just feel like the manager they've got, Unai, he's a great manager, and I think he'll find a way to get results when they need to get them, and they'll get into Champions League spots just about, I feel. Because you're talking about, again, you mentioned Chelsea, that Liverpool, who have been picked up a few wins recently, you're still not sure about them. But I think with Villa, they'll just get the results they need to get, and that will just see them slip into those top 4, top 5 positions come the end of the season. But did you see the game at Turf Moor on Saturday? The crazy game, Burnley 3, Brentford 4, sorry. Keith Andrews, my manager of the season, doing bits again. And so no, do you feel like that game kind of cemented Burnley's position in terms of they're going to go down this season? Because they were losing 3-0, come back to 3-3. They were leading at one point, and then that got ruled out of VAR. And then Damsgaard scores the winner to make it 4-3. It kind of feels as if, Burnley just haven't really got enough this season.
Not enough in the tank. It's a hard one to call for them. Look, they'll go down and come back up, and they might go through a few cycles of having to do that. Burnley is a place where not many quality players want to go, and that's just down to geographical location. So it makes it a bit difficult to recruit certain players that don't want to be in that area. So they are what they are. They've given it a good shot, and they're going to go down to come back up again. Scott Parker, on the other hand, I feel like he's tried his best with the pushing the system that he wants, and we can see it does work because but then he needs to be flexible in, you've got back into the game or you're ahead of the game. Now you need to be able to see out a game. And that's where they kind of fall off. And that might just be down to personnel and these type of things. So, yeah, we'll see. Look, they gave it a good shot. At least they're not rock bottom. They can go rebuild, come back. I think they could probably keep the majority of their squad together for instant return as well. So,
I think I like Scott Parker. I mean, listen, as a player, he was great. I watched him at Newcastle, Chelsea, Tottenham. He's a real, warrior in the midfield. And I think as a coach, he's always done well in the Championship, right? I think he's promoted 3 teams, Bournemouth, Fulham, and Burnley. And he's always done a great job when it comes to bringing teams up, whether that's through automatic promotion or whether that's through the playoffs. But when it comes to staying in the Premier League, these have not ended well for Scott Parker. I think Fulham went down the same season they came up. I think he got sacked at Bournemouth before Gary O'Neill took over, and Burnley, it seems like they're going to get relegated this season. And it just feels like, there was a point where last year, Burnley had probably the best defensive record in England, I think. They were that good in the Championship. But when you come to the Premier League, it's a different level. You have to really, really be able to sort of adapt and change the way you play. I don't think Scott Parker's done a bad job. I just don't think the players have been good enough, Lex. I think the players have just lacked quality. They just haven't got enough to stay in the Premier League. And I think he's doing everything he can. And we saw glimpses against Brentford where they can, attacking-wise, they can cause teams problems. But as a package, they haven't got it. And probably for Burnley, the biggest thing they had for a number of years was Sean Dyche. And Sean Dyche really created a culture at Burnley where every player in every position had to give at least 7 out of 10 every week for that team to get a result somewhere. And they had a great spine. They had Nick Pope, Tarkowski, James Rodriguez, and Chris Wood. Ashley Barnes had a real good spine in the team that they relied on for a number of years to really get them through games and keep them in the league. And Sean Dyche was good at that. But right now, it seems as if they kind of changed the way they're playing a little bit. They want to be a bit more of a football inside. And Scott Parker, again, has done a great job at Burnley, as he has done with other clubs he's promoted.
Yeah.
But they just haven't got enough to stay in the Premier League. But you're right. I think they'll go down. I think they'll come back up. Whether Scott Parker stays there or not, I think that's a different question. But this guy, Sesko, Benjamin Sesko, is on fire, man. And got the winning goal. He's on fire. I'll say it again. He's on fire.
He's scored a couple of goals. Now he's on fire. I mean, Jesus Christ.
He's scored. Listen, he's gone.
Jesus Christ.
Sunderland, goals against West Ham. He's comes on the bench against West Ham. I'm going back to the game against Burnley where he scores 2 great finishes, but Fletcher was in charge. Gets the winner against West Ham. Gets the winner against Everton. Gets the winner against Fulham. Winner against Palace. The guy's on fire. The geezer's on fire right now, to be honest.
And if my granny had wheels, she'd be a car. Yeah.
But listen, the guy's on fire. The guy's winning us points. He's dragged us up to third, in my opinion. Look at the goals he scored, the goals he's contributed, the winners he's got in recent weeks. He's scoring when he's coming off the bench. He's scoring when he's starting.
So why are we talking about? Why are we not talking about Thiago at Brentford then? Why are we not talking about Semenyo then? Why are we talking about him?
Because, well, listen, I'm biased, aren't I? I'm biased. United are third. I'm biased. United are third. Thiago's done a great job. And again, I said before, Brentford, Keith Andrews done a great job there. Thiago's been fantastic. But listen, I'm a biased person. I'm going to give Sesko his dues because he's been brilliant. But listen, there was a time early in the season where you could say he lacked confidence, right? And he wasn't. We didn't see what he could do. But I think with Carrick coming in, we've seen instances in terms of what he can produce. One thing I noticed about Šeško is I think he's a confidence player. If you give him the platform, you give him the confidence, his finishing is lethal. Like, he's a great finisher. Some of the finishes we've seen against West Ham, the first-time finish against Everton as well. But again, just going back to goals against Burnley, the 2 first-time finishes, he can finish. But he just needs that confidence. And Carrick he's known how to manage him. He's getting the best out of him right now. And again, he's been a super sub in recent weeks. And we're thinking, well, is he going to start him? Is he going to continue with Mbumo? He started him against Palace and, brilliant header and gets the goal. So, yeah, Benjamin's been on fire, man. But listen, Semenyo and Thiago, they've also been on fire at their football clubs. But again, I'm biased and I make no apologies for it. So I'm going to talk about Sesko.
It was a good header. It was a good header. It was a wicked header, to be fair. That was...
power, direction.
I know his somewhat, I guess you would say, idol is Zlatan. And that was Zlatan-esque, that type of finish. That was a proper thudding header and very good finish. He's been clinical, and under the stewardship of Carrick and the rest of the team, United, I would say, not just Sesko on form, I'd say United is on fire as well. And with the Villa tipping away, hey, anything's possible. Finishing third, maybe it's possible even second place. Like, it's not out of the realms of possibility with the run of games that are coming, and one game a week. Hey, nothing is impossible here.
Yeah, I agree. I think Carrick has done a really good job. I think he just turned around the fortunes of the team so much, and it's kind of, you look at Amorim, you kind of think, yeah, what was Amorim doing with his squad? Because Carrick has come in there, he's simplified things, he's getting the best out of players. It just, football seems sometimes it's so simple, isn't it? But it feels like it's just overcomplicated. But listen, with Carrick again, I've remained by my stance. I think he's done a great job now. It's very easy now to take a club that's suffering from confidence and form and change that team and give them some confidence and get a run of games going. But if he was to be given the job full time, right, I still feel like managing in the Champions League, signing in players, releasing players, this is where your management comes into question, isn't it? Because you have to really manage that group. You have to upset players. Right now, it's easy because everything Carrick is doing, everything he's touching is working right now, Flexx. But when you're the manager next season, you have to make decisions and you've got to rotate midweek because you've got Carabao Cup games, you've got Champions League games. That's where we'll see what's his management like. And I think that's going to be the interesting thing. Will he get a job or not? I don't know. But so far, based on what he's doing, if this was an audition, then 100% he would get the job because he's been brilliant. Him and the team have been fantastic in the last couple of weeks, man. And Šeško has been top notch again. But yeah, listen, Newcastle suffering from form. Everton got a great win on Saturday, 3-2 win at St James's Park. And Jordan Pickford was very good in the game. Very good.
I don't know how he's still at Everton. It's a bit strange. I mean, he should be at like a recognized top 4 club. Granted, Arsenal have Raya, for me, who's the best goalkeeper in the league. United, I think, could have gone for Pickford when they were looking for a new goalkeeper, but Lemens seems to be the guy, so that's great. City, again, could have gone for him, but Donnarumma is Donnarumma, fair enough. Then you've got the others, right? Like the Chelseas and whatnot. And this is a good goalkeeper. Like, I always just used to think, yeah, he's good at England because, he's got like decent defense in front of him, blah, blah, blah. But when you see some of these saves this guy's pulling out, it's ridiculous. Like, he is a really, really good, like, I can say he's a really good goalkeeper. Like, he's a solid goalkeeper, man. And like you mentioned, Newcastle falling off. Yeah, they've got a tough run of games, man. I think that falling off is gonna carry on. I think they're gonna, unfortunately, that bad vein of form is gonna continue. And I don't know if certain players like Tonali, who wants to leave and so on, I think they're not given 100% anymore, and I see Guatemala.
Do you think Eddie Howe's under pressure? Listen, Eddie Howe's done a great job at Newcastle, and he changed that club's fortunes. Right when he came in after Steve Bruce got sacked, that club was at a low, and they needed someone to come in there and actually gradually build up again. And he's done a great job. One thing I like about Eddie Howe is he improves players. Like Lewis Hall's gone there, has been fantastic. Livramento has been great since joining there. Dan Burn got his first England cap under Eddie Howe because of his form. Look at Joe Linton as well. He was a makeshift striker when Eddie Howe come in, and he's made him into a powerhouse midfield player. Yeah. Eddie Howe knows how to develop and improve players, and it just feels as if for the moment they've had 12 losses this season. 12 losses, and that's unlike Newcastle.
Well, I think it's going to continue because in 2 days they play United, although it be at St James Park. Then they got to go play City at St James's Park. Then they got Barcelona. They will beat Chelsea. I think they'll beat Chelsea. And then they play Barcelona again. And then they got to play Sunderland in that derby game, right? I think their running it's a hard one. It's a hard one. It's a hard one.
Do you think he'll be sacked? Do you think if they, as you mentioned, those fixtures, if they finish the season really poorly, do you think he's in danger of being sacked?
They can't sack him. He's brought them a trophy. He deserves another spin at the roulette wheel. He can't be sacked for that. It's unfortunate that he has lost a key component to what made him very successful, which was in Isak. Players need time to bed in, which they haven't done so well in bedding in, and it's just a timing thing. And sacking him, I mean, who would they actually get to bring in at Newcastle? Let's be honest, So I feel keeping him at the helm, giving him a little more time, and it's not just the players. They've also had a big shift at board level with different directors of football and all of this kind of stuff happening. You can't take all of that for granted where it comes to on-field performances and the timings of when signings come in and go and all of these things, which he's had to deal with. So I think a little bit more time, these type of things happen. Aston Villa fell off to be back where they are now, and now it's just their turn. So we'll see.
You're right. I think the fans have got, obviously you mentioned a board level change there. The fans have got an expectation that because of the change of ownership, they should be out and compete for the best players and sometimes the best coaches around the world. But I do put Eddie Howe as one of the best coaches in the league just because of what I said. He improves players. A lot of players who were out of the England picture under Eddie Howe, great performances, are now in the England picture because of him. Look at Dan Burn as well, great example. So he deserves his credit for that. But just quickly before we go, I mean, going back to Jordan Pickford, I think you mentioned a good point about why he's not been considered by the top clubs. But I think if you look at the window where he first broke onto the scene, particularly at Sunderland, right, and go to Everton, a lot of the top clubs had, De Gea in goal. They had Edison, Alisson. Tottenham had Lloris. So those top clubs had really well-established goalkeepers. So I think that window, he kind of missed it in terms of making that move to a bigger club. But I always feel like maybe Tottenham, look at Vicario now at Tottenham, he's struggling, isn't he?
Tottenham's not a big club though, so we don't count that.
It's not a big club, but it's a club that was playing in Europe like regularly in the Champions League, right? And you probably feel like, hey, Jordan Pickford, maybe he's done so well at international level that he could cope in the Champions League environment as well. So I think that window, he kind of missed it because the top clubs had really good goalkeepers at the time. So maybe that move didn't happen for that reason. But I agree. I love Jordan Pickford. He's great. Again, watching England for many years, he's been one of their best players and one of the most reliable players as well. But listen, Flexx has been good. It's been good as always to catch up. It's game week as well. There's games on Tuesday and Wednesday. So it'll be interesting to see how players get on and how the teams get on. Flexx, it's been good as always, bro, to catch up. But before we do go, Flexx, let's all laugh at Tottenham Hotspur because they are a shambles right now.
They are shambles, man. Look, we spoke about them regularly playing in Europe. Now they're going to be regularly playing against Millwall and the likes, So
trust me.
Good luck with that.
It's crazy, man. But listen, guys, as always, like and subscribe on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok now as well. Like and follow our content. There's more content coming your way. Appreciate the support as always. Flexx, I'll catch you in the next one.
Oh, yes, for sure. In a bit.
Good stuff.